Hello all and welcome back to Leveraging the Growth Engine. My name's Alex. Hopefully most of you have already seen part one. We'll come on to that in a second, but my name is Alex. I'm one of the customer success managers here. I've been here nearly 6 years now, or just over 6 years. We've done a couple of series of webinars where you can find me talking about a few other bits and pieces we've got in terms of features and functionality that we're really trying to get everyone using and get the most out of their subscription. And the most recent webinar up to now was a part one, a predecessor to this, where we're looking specifically at the growth engine reports. So we're going to take a look at the growth engine again today and look at the other reports we haven't seen. If you don't know what the growth engine is, I'd highly recommend looking at the launch webinar hosted by our founder, Andrew Ardron. And then obviously this is the second part. So there's a first part to go back and watch on our YouTube channel, or the webinar registration page also has that content as well. So as always, we'll aim for half an hour. This one will probably be a little bit shorter, but we'll see. And then we'll have some questions at the end as well. So takeaway similar to those of the part one, we're going to look at what the growth engine is. So I'll recap that very, very briefly, look at some configuration where needed to get some of these reports and some of these parts of this formula working, and then look at what functionality we have to leverage that data and then start improving on those important metrics. Again, most of today's session is going to be me talking with some demo content, but this is more about asking questions and, sort of getting you thinking about some of the metrics the system is showing you, and then what we can offer to improve those metrics, and things like average order value, which I think is the first one we'll cover, and see what sort of functionality we can use and deploy to help. So a quick recap then, we'll go straight into this pretty quickly. So a quick recap of what the growth engine is for anyone who has found their way here without actually looking at this feature before. The growth engine analyzes and benchmarks your sales growth performance from attracting new business, getting those first sales, turning them into a repeat order, and sort of onboarding those new customers. That's what we covered in session one. Today, we're going to be looking at sort of higher customer lifetime value. So what we can do to keep those customers on board, get more out of the trade we have with them, and focus specifically on order value, frequency, and then retention as well. So we'll jump straight into this then. So order value is the first sort of point of contact the other day. Again, all these other ones have been covered in our last webinar. So order value. The order value is showing you the performance calculated based on the average amount, so the monetary value that a customer would spend on an average order. This is calculated by looking at average revenue divided by the total number of orders. So some orders obviously might be quite large, and really sort of drag this up. You might have an average order where it's £300-400. You might have some lower orders. This just gives you that average value across the board. So in our demo system here, this is our jam selling company. Sorry, forgot to mention. So we've got an average order for July 2024. The average value there is about £2,500 if you look on that left-hand side over here for our trailing 12 months. Which is a nice sort of steady upward trend, which is hopefully what you'd expect to see, meaning that it's not necessarily we're getting more orders, it's just that the value of those orders is increasing. There's a couple of different ways we can look to improve this, and a few bits of functionality that we can really sort of drill down into. And the first one, and one of the things I think is quite underutilized in the system, is actually upsell links. And upsell links allows you to create relationships between products, which is really good if you're bringing on sort of new members of staff who are maybe a little bit less familiar with your products and your industry, and allows you to create relationships to increase the chance of an upsell opportunity going through. So I'll show you what I mean in terms of creating these, and maybe we can even look at an example of where you'd use it. So you set these up on the products. If I go and have a look for a product item, you could create a relationship between a 3-pack of blueberry jam and a 4-pack of blueberry jam. So if I open up one of these, we have down the left-hand side, you have related products and then upsell. So upsell is what we're looking for on the left-hand side. And there are no records found, so you can create a new upsell item. And you can go and look for another product. So if I look for blueberry, so we've got a 4-pack there, I think it was, or an 8-pack of strawberry jam, any of those will do. And there's a couple of different types of relationship you can add. So a recommended, an upgrade, and a must sell. And the scenario for all of these three are a must sell is an item that is, well, it must be sold together. So if you're looking at jam jars, you must sell them with jam lids, or a dustpan must be sold with the brush. So you could have them as individual products, but you have to couple them together. So they're sold as a group or a set or a pair or something like that. A recommended would be something like, you're buying the blueberry jam in this case. Why don't you buy the strawberry jam as well? And maybe we can do some kind of upsell deal or something like that if you're able to build those on the fly. And then an upgrade, which is, you're buying this pack of jam, why don't you buy this bigger pack of jam? Or you're buying this jam, why don't you buy a premium jam? Again, just scaling up to get those more hopefully higher margin products, but also higher value in terms of monetary value as well. So in this case, then we've got a 3-pack of blueberry jam. I'm going to class this as an upgrade. So we've got 8 blueberry and strawberry jams together. And then what we've got here is whenever I use this product, recommend an update here, and basically go and try and tell me, the salesman to go and try and sell this product instead. So if I go and grab that product reference, so I make sure I'm using the right one. If I go and find the quote, so I've got a quote here. If I go down to my product lines and I add this product in, click that there, pops up the product upgrades. And if you've got multiple levels, you'll see different ones where it says, you're selling these, why don't you try and sell these instead? So I can actually click this instead, say we'll have this many of them. It gives you a little bit of value in different pieces as well. You can skip this if you want to. I think the must sell, you do have to sell them together because it's must sell. But the upgrades and stuff you can gloss over if it's not something you're interested in. But it creates a talking point if you're on the phone to them, especially if you're new again, you have no idea how to sell any of these products. It'd be a really useful feature just to get them using or set up so they can use them. And again, helps to increase that average order value. So if I press continue, that then subs out the product I originally searched for, this 3-pack blue, and puts in my larger pack of a higher value. So another couple of other items we can use for, go back to our report quickly. So we're going to order value again. So a couple of other items we can use are things like the magic matrix. So I won't spend too much time covering this, but I will show you what the magic matrix looks like and explain what it does. So the magic matrix is all about sort of customer penetration and making sure you're selling as many items from as many categories as you can. And we have an entire webinar donated to this. I think it's about a good half an hour, just working out what you would use this for, how you use it, showing you configuration steps and things like that. But for today's webinar, I'm just going to show you what these colors mean, basically. So what we've got here is an array of our customers down the left-hand side, and then our products across the top, which you've got some categories here. You can add and configure these as you go. But I can look through this and basically look at any of the green dots, which means this customer, so jam engineers, have bought something from ingredients in probably the last year. Again, that's configurable. When it goes red, it means they've not bought any product from that category before. So this creates an opportunity for me to build awareness using this tool where I can say, give me a list of all the customers who have bought something from the product category of finished jam, which could be 30 products, could be 100 products, but they bought something over, say, 6 months, but they've not bought anything before from our jam pallets. So they're buying jam just in a smaller quantity, maybe a few cases. Why don't we try and sell them a pallet? Obviously, economies of scale, that's normally better value for them and increases your order value or your average order value by increasing the amount of your product you're selling. So that's a really nice tool. You can go through this and have multiple categories. So you can say, give me actually, you know what, where they've had finished jam and pallet jam and jam jars, but they've not bought this before. Whatever scenario is, you can really build this on the fly as to what scenario you're looking for, and then help to create an entire campaign based on that criteria. Using then our email marketing integrations, the likes of Spotler, Klaviyo, and also MailChimp, you can send over that list of all the people that have bought this but not this, and then send them that campaign or put them in a drip feed campaign to really sort of promote the fact that you sell a product that they're not currently buying. So it's another really useful tool. And another one, which is sort of like the Magic Matrix, but basically a bit of a dumbed down or sort of easier version, is a report called the X but not Y report. So we go into sales and then into reports, and then you've got customers who bought X but not Y, or customers who have not bought X. And that's nice and simple, as you can probably imagine. You list a couple of products in here. So we've got some filters on the right hand side as they show me any customer where they've bought this product but they've not buy this. So they've bought X but not bought Y, and then this gives you a list of those customers to go and target. And again, that list might be a small list, might be a big list. If it's a small list, you could do telesales campaigns, or get sales guys calling them and say, you've bought these products. Have you ever considered buying these? If it's a large list, again, you could revert to that sort of email marketing campaign, drip feed campaigns, and sort of reach the masses. And again, even if it's only a few percent of conversion, you'll get more orders, you'll get higher value orders if that's what you're targeting, and that increases our report to get those higher order values. And the lastly is something I think is quite underutilized, is the actual contacts themselves. So if I go and open a contact, we have quite a few fields on a contact which are normally sort of just left relatively blank. And in terms of rapport building, that's quite a poor sort of approach for these. So if I click on one of these guys here, I don't know their preferred name, I don't know their job title, what department they work in. You can also add fields to this, make some custom fields. And again, include as much information as you can to really sort of build that rapport with them. Getting to know those basic things like job roles and industries and stuff like that can strengthen those bonds and make those marketing efforts a lot easier, whether that's telesales or marketing campaigns. If you really build relationships with these people, they're more likely to answer the phone to you, more likely to engage, and more likely to listen when you say, you've got these products which you should consider, or, instead of buying 5 of these, why don't you buy 10 and we'll do you some kind of 10% discount or something like that. There's plenty of options that you can explore when you really get to know someone. So that's something I would highly recommend doing, is just taking a look at those contacts, adding certain fields of bits of information you want to record, and really make sure that you're building a rapport with these. Okay, so that's some of the things we wanted to cover for the order value. We're going to move on now to order frequency. So order frequency, it's based on the average number of orders placed within a period of time. Naturally, the more customers order, the more revenue you'll make from them. But generally speaking, hopefully you're getting multiple orders a month. Again, this one's going to be a bit industry specific. If selling something like jams, it might be a weekly order. Selling something like industrial machine parts or something like that, that might be an annual order. It really will change. But we do have some of the benchmarks here for different industries, so you get a bit of an idea on what the standard is. You'll have to just sort of read between the lines and what's expected for your sort of trade and your industry, really. So for our jam company here, our example, we've constantly been sort of riding around 6.5 orders per month on average. And there's a few things, again, we can go and do to improve that. So the first thing I'd wanted to point out is the dashboard. And again, one of the features I always speak about first when I'm engaging with customers our end, and really trying to deliver value on prospect. The missing orders, essentially this little square that appears in the top right of the account manager dashboard. What this does is it basically uses an analysis to go and work out when customers should have ordered given their order history, and then tells you and flags when they haven't ordered. And sometimes that might be a perfectly innocent reason, but more often than not, it's because they've moved away to other suppliers. And this gives you an opportunity to hopefully catch them before that happens. But if you can't, then it gives you the opportunity to engage and try and win their business back. So if I look at some of ours here, so we've got a few orders. If I click see more, got 10 missing orders. That's the average value of what I would expect from those 10 orders. So get a bit of an idea as to which customers are the particular ones you need to chase. And then we've got some numbers here, and I'll explain what these mean. So I've got, let's look at this one here. So the Great British Bake Off Kitchen, they were ordering every 8 days. The warning level's been set to 35, and it's been 48 days since they've ordered anything. So what that means is, for whatever reason, they've gone from nearly a weekly order to now, 6 weeks passing and they've not made any orders at all. Again, going back to how we can solve this, engaging with them, understanding the customers there, and really sort of building that rapport, going back to email marketing and bringing them back in the fold, just really engaging with these customers and getting them to place those orders. This sort of spills into retention, which we'll come on to in a moment. But in terms of order frequency, this actually tells you when orders should have been placed, given that order history, and which customers you should approach. And it's one of the first things I always approach with customers, just because it's such an easy way of justifying the value of prospects. It's one report that actually, if you go and speak to these guys, so their average order is £3,500, we're telling you it's missing. That is probably more than most people spend on the CRM in a year. So it's a really good point from us, from the CSM team at Prospect and the Access Group, to drive home how valuable this report really is. And then for you guys, again, even if you get one of these orders through, they're averaging somewhere around £3,000, some of these orders, so they can be really useful to bring back in. And that's only one order. Hopefully then they keep buying from you and you become that supplier again. Especially with some of these down here. I mean, these are a bit extreme examples, but they are still valid. When at one point these guys were ordering monthly, and now it's been nearly 10 months or so. So it really paints a picture of customers that we really should be going after. A couple of other things that can be useful. So one, when it comes to order frequency, is actually making orders a bit easier. And a couple of things that might help with that. One is taking payments online. So we have the ability to use Stripe for taking payments straight over the phone and stuff like that, if that's something you'd be interested in. The other one is our online e-commerce platforms as well. So Prospect actually has its own e-commerce platforms. You can sort of see it up here. We've got a site, and straight out of the box, you get a linked up website that shows stock levels, shows customer special pricing. You can give them logins and they immediately get their own special pricing on the site. And you can have, your pictures and all those normal website things you'd expect to see, and specification docs and all those things. And that means, as me as a customer, I don't have to pick up the phone and speak to you. I don't have to type an email out. I just go online and log in. I see my special pricing. I add a few things to the basket. I press confirm. You guys don't even have to see it. You can choose to if you want to, but actually you can configure this so the first place anyone's going to notice is actually in your account system, where someone's going to go pick that order and invoice it as well. So for the level of functionality we offer from those websites, it's a really sort of cost-efficient way of saying, place as many orders as you want, and getting that really good useful functionality like live stock updates and customer pricing, which are probably the real two biggest selling points for a Prospect e-commerce platform. It's just you get all those things straight out of the box. There's no development time. They just work from turning it on. So yeah, definitely something to consider as well. In the CRM, there's another option for making orders a bit easier, which probably the quote order workflows. We have buttons within Prospect as well, where customers can actually accept orders. So I'll show you what that looks like as well. If I go back to the quote we used earlier on, if I get ready to send this to a customer, you can either make a PDF or you can make an email, whichever you guys prefer to use. But when you go to send it to them, you can basically embed buttons into these emails and PDFs, which allow the customers to go and confirm that order. So we've got them built in here. So this is just a basic email quotes. Here's the products they've asked for. This is some of the product specification documents that we're attaching straight in. Another feature that can be really useful. But it's more of these buttons down here, which we're talking about today. So we've got approve and decline, where when you send this email and this arrives in their Outlook or wherever you're sending it to, they can hit approve. This order will then become confirmed, end up in your integrated ERP system or account system, and again, get ready for invoicing and picking. It's just another sort of rung of the ladder removed out of the way, another obstacle removed. They don't have to come back and email you, say, yes, go ahead, or anything like that. It's just a button they click and it's done, which is, again, just removes any friction. Nice, easy feature to implement as well. And then the other thing for increasing order frequency that I wanted to mention again was going back to email marketing. It's a bit of a theme here, just because email marketing is really efficient at reaching a lot of customers. So you could do some kind of campaign for, marketing offers, new product releases, things like that. Anything that can excite your customers and get them coming back to buy more from you can be done en masse through email marketing. And then platforms like Spotler, Klaviyo, and MailChimp also have drip feed campaigns, which is when you send them one email, they get put in a workflow where another email gets sent 3 days later. And then if they click the link, it sends them this email. And again, just constant sort of subliminal engagement. Really useful marketing technique without, again, quite minimal investment really, in terms of once you've set up that workflow, it just kind of works, and all you do is allocate customers and accounts to that workflow, and it goes and does the work for you. So really useful resource in terms of allocation. And the last report I wanted to look at today was retention. So retention performance is based on the average length of time you hold on to a customer. Typically, this is measured in a unit of years. The calculation for this graph analyzes the rate at which customers are becoming inactive or no longer placing orders with you. We refer to this as churn typically, and I'm sure most of you do. This is probably one of the most important reports on the growth engine. Increasing customer retention by like 5% could potentially increase profits by like 20%. We refer to this as the leaky bucket. It's definitely something we've engaged with many times from our customers, and one of the features we've really built on. Again, keeping those customers, and it's just a lot easier than actually attracting new ones as well. It's a lot more efficient and a lot more time efficient. So in terms of improving this again, so going back to those missing orders is another thing. As those customers are coming in, then leaving again. Again, I think one of the examples there was a customer that ordered monthly, and now it's been 10 months. Another customer we can engage with, clearly they found another supplier, or they're no longer trading in some cases as well. But for whatever the reason, bringing them back into the fold, getting them ordering again, so we can get those sort of that lifetime value out of that customer. Problem tracking is another thing I'd recommend as well. So this is something we do religiously in-house. Whenever we see sort of a problem on one of our accounts, we log problems. We also do it for external problems as well, when one of you guys come to us and have a query or something, and that could be something you guys implement as well. So we've got our Jam company here. If they notice one of these accounts are leaving, they could make a problem record, because that is a problem for you guys. And again, you can engage with them through the methods we've spoken about, or just keeping a track of things that upset your customers. If delivery is always late and certain products always arrive broken, if you record problems for that, you can then analyze the problems with reports, identify those common issues, and then fix them. And if you're fixing those problems, if you've got an array of products which are always faulty, then that sort of needs to be addressed from whoever your supplier is, or if you're the manufacturer, then you need to address it yourselves. But if you're selling products faulty, that is going to turn customers away, and logging problems for those as they come in from your customers is a good way of analyzing those trends. So yeah, definitely something we'd recommend. And we have a whole webinar, again, dedicated to the problem setup and using the problem pipelines and things like that as well. The other one, and probably the last point of today's webinar, is the RFM segment, which is this here. So we've done webinars on the RFM before. It's one of the sort of key selling points of ProspectSoft. It's not one of the things we've designed ourselves. RFM is an industry standard thing, but we have designed these dashboards and sort of what it means to be a champion customer and things like that. So the champion customers, which is basically the best you can be, people that have bought recently, buy often, and spend the most amount of money with you, they are of relatively low chance of churning, although it is possible. But the customers, as you scroll down, the ones that need attention, at risk, so have spent big money in the past, but haven't purchased anything in a long time, they're the ones you can really target. If I come out of this again and go back here, so you've got a whole segment here of the ones that are needing attention and at risk. So I've got 3 customers here that are at risk. They ordered first time February 2020. They made 7 orders, and they last ordered nearly a year ago now. And again, we've now got that data, so we can make action on it. I can go and engage with them, speak to them, put them in a drip feed campaign, again, using email marketing. I suppose it really depends on how many you've got and what kind of industry you're in and what kind of standard you're expecting. That one's not too bad. I'd be more concerned about these other 2, where they've been making, 147 orders between January 2020 and December 2022. That's a lot of orders to be making in that kind of period of time. So why have they stopped? It's again, going and engaging with those guys, bringing those back in. That helps. Not only does retention help with obviously keeping that lifetime customer value as high as it can be, but it also increases the average order value and order retention by making those orders come back. And again, some of you will find this is quite an intense list, which is why we looked at email marketing as a potential solution here, just to reach en masse and then engage with the ones where you really spot the sort of trend, or maybe you know a customer really well and you didn't realize they were in this state, and you really sort of drill down as to the ones that are at risk, or in some of the other segments here, like don't lose them and such. Clicking this question mark up here actually gives you this whole insight as to what customers are which and which segment each customer has been placed in. And that's our retention one there. So that's it for the second half. It was definitely a little bit short in the first one. We've covered a bit less this time round. So to summarize, we've covered the entire growth engine over 2 webinars. And the growth engine is offered under that sort of higher customer lifetime value and also gaining more customers. That's the precipice of this engine, this growth engine. And hopefully we've looked at what we can do to improve these metrics. I said last time, and I'll say it again, I think we can probably do an in-depth webinar, a bit of a deep dive, if you like, on all of these. So we can probably spend an entire webinar on Attract and an entire webinar on onboarding, and actually go through in detail some of the things I've been talking about. I know I've shown you some of them, and then some of them I've sort of glossed over just because they take a lot of time to go through and explain. So I think some of these could be really useful for doing a whole webinar on, which I have suggested. But as always, any other webinars you'd like to see, please give us a shout. So in the future, we are looking at making some updates to this, so we can do a bit of data management through bulk updates, and maybe looking at adding goals into this and doing a few other bits and pieces. But any feedback you've got as you gain exposure to this will be really helpful as well. But that is it from me. So we'll drop back here really quickly. And I think that I can see one question popping in already. But if anyone has any questions, please give me a shout. The question I have is actually not related to this at all. It's when is the calendar launching? So the first version is actually launching very soon, maybe in the next week or so. It's a read-only version where you can essentially view your Outlook calendar within Prospect or something like that. And then we'll get to the later versions when we can start using the calendar within Prospect and booking meetings and things like that. So yes, that's on the way. Yeah, bear with us on that. It has been the focus for most of 2024 and probably will be till the end of the year as well. But the calendar is definitely something we're all looking forward to. That's the only question I've got. I'll leave it another sort of 30 seconds or so. It looks like we're bang on time for that half an hour webinar. But if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Okay, I haven't any more questions, so I think we can call it there. We've got another webinar, I believe, next week, if not the week after. So please come along to that. There's the web address to see the previous webinars, as also the new ones as well. So yeah, we'll leave it there. And yeah, hopefully see you again soon. Thank you very much for coming.